Quit second guessing your decision and put that energy into the decision you made and making it the best decision for your agency. I mean, it's a constant topic with AI. Is it going to replace that?
I think most of these businesses know where they want to go. They know the changes they want to make, and they're just not ready to make them.
Don't go a bunch of websites and sign up for demos without thinking it through. It's just like watching videos on YouTube, or TikTok or whatever, whatever you do. You're just using that to be entertained, okay? In today's world, the use of APIs is kind of the solution to that. A good system is gonna address that, and Workmajig does that.
Hey everyone, I'm Ruben from Workmajig. Thanks so much for tuning in. I just had an awesome conversation with Mike McGee to discuss reservations and things that hold people back from making the software changes that they need, especially coming into the new year. Mike spoke a little bit about fears that hold us back. That was a big one. We discussed 6 different fears that hold people back from making the changes that they know that they want to make and they know that are right for their company. We also ran through a little bit preparing your team to set up the implementation the best way possible, and also some general tips for coming into the new year. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to bring Mike on in a minute. Recently, Mike just made a change. He started a strategic business consulting business using his experience to help people. I think Mike's a great asset to talk about making changes and what holds us back from making those changes that we know we need. So as we're gearing up in the beginning of 25, I'm sure many of you are thinking about making changes and improvements to your technology. And that brings up a lot of fear. I'll share a little bit from my personal life. Recently, I've been thinking for a while about making a change to where we're living, selling our house and buying something else. And we've been thinking about this for a long time, and I just couldn't make the move. A lot of the reason why I couldn't make the move was just the fear of the unknown. It took me a while to get through that, and I'm actually really excited to say that yesterday I took an offer on our place, and I'm excited to look into moving on to somewhere else. I'm sure it's not just in my life, and this applies to me in work also often. I have my goals, and I know what I need to do, and there are just some things that are holding me back from taking the next right step. When I was doing some research on this topic, I came across a fascinating study from SnapLogic that they just recently did. They say that nearly 2/3 of businesses invest more than $2 million on maintaining and upgrading legacy solutions. For me, I think most of these businesses know where they want to go. They know the changes they want to make, and they're just not ready to make them. I decided to invite a good friend of mine, Mike McGee, to jump on and talk to us today a little bit about this. Mike's got a lot going for him that we definitely know. But the reason why I wanted to pull Mike in specifically is for the past 25 years, Mike's been a lead salesman at one of the biggest project management and resource management softwares in the industry. Mike's been helping people make that decision to move forward when they were getting stuck. And I'd love to bring Mike in to talk a little bit about the 6 major fears that agencies face when making a software change.
Thanks, Ruben. It's a pleasure to be with you today. And as you just introduced me, I appreciate that. And to reiterate again, I've been involved in this business from a sales and kind of management consulting perspective for over 25 years. But as a precursor to that, I was also the CFO of an ad agency. And, really that's where I cut my teeth, understanding the overall operational flows, management, and also the potential problems that agencies have when it comes to, managing their technological infrastructure and the decisions going into that. One of my biggest charges during that tenure as a CFO is we did come to the conclusion that we did need to make a change and, vetting systems and going through that whole process. So a lot of what I'm going to be speaking to that is based on my real world experiences many years ago. Now, it's obviously changed. Technology's changed. We've segued into a whole different world in how we manage, but the fears that accompany that really have not changed. And so we really should address these as we're going through and identifying a change, because it will make the process a lot easier. As you opened up, we're going to talk about six major agency technology fears that agencies have when they're looking at making a change in their internal technological infrastructure. Okay, the first fear is people understand that they need to make a change, but there's always that reticent fear of making the change. Okay. It's just what you just talked about, selling your house. It's that reticent fear of, do I need to do it? You know, you need to do it, but it's stepping over the line, taking that leap of faith and jumping. Okay. And, the fear is, hey, it's working for me right now. Okay. And I can't release what I have to make that next step, okay? And, it's been working for quite some time, okay? Why do I need to make the change? Now, one of the things that needs to be addressed, as we'll talk as we go along, it needs to be a group effort, okay? It's not just one person's decision, because these systems that people are looking at are touching multiple areas of the agency, different people, different departments, and different roles. And you're going to have buy in by different people at different levels. Okay. Making that change will upset the apple cart, so to speak. So it's getting everybody to buy in together that that change can be made. So again, it's convincing the people, let's move forward. That change is for the good. It's not for the bad. Release those fears, release that indecision, and let's move it forward, because that investment is going to be worth the time.
I like
Okay.
that, Mike. I definitely relate to that in my life. I'd rather sit with the comfortable and broken than move on to the next step.
Yeah. The second fear is the fear of indecision. Okay. It's just second guessing your decision. How many times have we second guessed ourselves, in that? Or is it the fear, is this the right decision? Okay. And again, it kind of plays with the first one is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Can I make this decision? It's always that fear of, is there if I make this decision, is there a better option? It's constantly guessing. It's that continuous evaluation of your needs, which is actually a good thing. But let's put that energy into one system, make that decision, do the vetting process. That's very important. But once you do that, quit guessing your decision and put that energy into the decision you made and making it the best decision for your agency. So that's the second fear that a lot of agencies deal with when looking at, migrating to new systems. Okay.
Thanks. Thank you, Mike. I definitely like that one. Sometimes, even though we did all the research, we know exactly where we need to go. It still holds me up.
Absolutely. The third one is involving your people. Okay. And it's the fear that the change is going to affect the agency's dynamics in terms of, people's commitment to their roles, and will it change? Okay. Will this new system affect me? Okay. And it's going to be received positively, and it's also going to be received negatively. Okay. Positively, are there going to be those people that are going to embrace technology? Okay. And take it and run with it and utilize it for its intent. Okay. But there are going to be others that are going to see this as a fear that it's imposing on my role in the agency as an employee. Okay, is it going to diminish my role? Is this technology going to make me expendable? Okay, and it's that fear. Over my 25 years, I've seen this a lot. Um, you've seen long tenured employees that have really kind of built their career around being experts at what they currently have. Okay. That's their sweet spot. Okay. That's their cabin in the woods, so to speak. You know, they're very comfortable. Okay. And that's the biggest fear is that they're going to have to give up this warm blanket that they've got, that makes them the best at who they are in the agency. Okay. And it's alleviating that fear that, moving forward, you're not giving that up. We're just making it better. Okay. And it's not necessarily better for you. Okay. It's better for everybody. We're all singing out of the same hymnal as they speak down south. Okay. So it's convincing people that change is good. Okay. And it's gonna make the agency better, and it's gonna make employees better, and it's gonna really make your clients better, okay, in this. So that's the fear is getting the team to buy into it and alleviating that fear that change is not bad.
Got you. So this fear is a fear that kind of touches the broader team. It's not just that one decision maker that's having a hard time making the decision. It's bringing this back home and showing the whole team why this is good for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's move on to the fourth fear. The fourth fear is disjointed technology. Okay. And what I mean by that is, will this software play nice with other things? Okay. And in today's world, that's a common problem and a common issue that anybody's, as they're building their tech stack, okay, is what's the inop the interplay of their different systems? Do they play well? And there's a lot of ways to do that. Okay. Now, the end goal of a system like Workamajig, an agency management system, is to alleviate that fear by putting everything in one solution. Okay. You're actually reducing your tech stack. Okay. You're reducing that risk that there's an interoperable, interplay between different systems. Okay. And that's kind of the end game is an all-in-one solution unifies, the agency and allows everybody to work together off the same platform. Now, there are going to be, circumstances where other systems are going to be in play. Okay. And there are just certain, y- areas of an agency that Workamajig, it's not what they do. Okay. But let's
A great
unify.
example of that. A great example of that is I haven't seen any software that also does payroll too. So
Yeah.
you're gonna always
And
need something else.
exactly. And that's the case with Workamajig, and it's the case with many other softwares. And really, the reason why it's very complicated. Okay. And there's software that does it well. I mean, you're dealing with taxes, tax rules, tax laws. They're changing constantly. It really is a world unto itself. So along those lines is, as you're looking at this change and is that fear is, ask that questions. Okay, it's not part of the suite of offerings, but how does it interplay with each other? You know, in today's world, the use of APIs is kind of the solution to that. And a good system is gonna address that, and Workamajig does that.
Definitely nice.
All right, let's move on to the fifth fear is the money question. Okay. And it's very easy for decision makers in these agencies to focus only on the cost. Okay. Which, is just a basic human, I guess fear is how much will it cost me? Well, I understand that. But when you're looking at making a change, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're focusing solely on cost. The cheapest solution is not always the best solution. What you really need to do is look at it from an ROI perspective. What is the value of this system going to provide me in the long run? Okay. And, is it worth, maybe spending a little bit more money to get a little bit more in return? Okay. For an example, is you might have one solution out there that is much cheaper, but at the end of the day, their offering is only alleviating, since we're talking about fears, it's only or problems, okay? Because a fear is these have is a problem. Why are we looking at making a change? Okay, why are we adjusting these fears? Well, somebody's identified a problem, okay, or a need. Okay, so some of these solutions in there may not address all of those needs. Okay, hence they're probably going to be cheaper. Okay, but if you invest in those, you're probably now falling into the trap is I'm going to have to invest in multiple systems. Okay. So what happens to your costs? It starts rising. Okay. So actually, the cheaper solution does not give you that ROI. Whereas a system like Workamajig, an agency management system, which has everything in it, potentially is going to cost more, but you're getting everything unified in one. Okay. So your ROI is going to be higher, okay, because you're eliminating redundancy, you're eliminating duplicity, and you're creating efficiencies across everybody there. Another example, real quick, is you know a higher cost system. If it's putting all in one of the goals there is to streamline operations. Okay. And, if you're falling under the trap of using multiple systems now, one system for your finances, another system for timekeeping, another system for project management and resourcing. Okay, somebody in that or some people in that agency is having to bring those all together. Some, automated, a lot of it's going to be manual. Okay, there. So it's creating extra work. Okay. So looking at it from an ROI perspective, if you can eliminate that, free up those hours, okay, and then if you look at it from a pure dollar standpoint, those hours equate to dollars saved. Okay, looking at those dollars saved is a way to justify paying for a higher cost. Okay, so getting over that fear of cost is a big, jump and a big decision you're gonna have to make, but it's well worth it.
Yes, I definitely like that. I think even, even on the smallest level, shaving off an hour or two per employee per month almost always will justify the cost of the software. And that's without even coming on to the mistakes that make when you make when you're working between two systems, copying over data between two systems. So that's definitely a really important one.
Correct, correct. And the last fear that we're gonna discuss, and it's very understandable, and it kinda goes back to a point I made earlier, but it's the loss of creativity and the human touch. Automating this. We're addressing in today's world a lot. I mean, it's a constant topic with AI. Is it going to replace that? Okay. Getting over the fear that it's not going to replace it, it's going to enhance it, it's going to improve it, it's going to make your life better, it's going to make you a better employee, it's going to make your, creative ideas, more tangible. You're sharing ideas. Technology is going to allow you to share and react. Okay. And that's something that, using that for a moment is the other part of this fear and a benefit of making the change is people probably don't realize it. You take steps back and you look at it. Most people are managing their agency reactively. Okay. And a good agency management system is going to move the needle over to the proactive side. You know, decisions, thoughts, measurements, reports are all happening at a much more timely fashion. Okay. And that's just going to benefit everybody. And who's the ultimate winner of this? The one thing I haven't mentioned, I've talked about the ROI, and easing up workload on employees and all of this. The one, person or, uh, you know, people that it's going to affect the most, believe it or not, is going to be your clients. Okay. The services that you're providing your clients, the feedback, the information that you're able to provide them proactively instead of reactively is going to be huge. So embracing change, getting over that fear is not only a benefit and something that the agency needs, but looking beyond the horizon a little bit and understanding what effect it was be on your client, because ultimately you only exist, for your clients. Making them happy just strengthens your relationship and strengthens you as an agency.
Yes, I love that. I think real-time data is something that it's really important to keeping clients happy. When
Abs-
projects takes a shift, which is something which is inevitable, there always will be shifts in time and scope of a project. Being able to see that in real-time data, see the changes before you're actually late on a project or before your budget changes too much on a project, I think that's huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. So those are the six fears that I've identified. That agencies generally are facing. Okay, when they're looking to make a decision. And kind of stepping beyond those and moving forward. And so you can make a competent decision.
Got you. Thank you, Mike. Now, to take a shift a little bit after we went through the fears, and maybe we'll talk about how to address those fears a little bit. But what would you say are best practices for preparing an agency to make this transformation? Once the decision is made, what can they do in advance to kind of set up their agency in a way that this transition or this change will be best?
Yeah, that's great. So, um, for doing this a long time, one of the things that I identified over the years is oftentimes, when the need is identified by an agency to make a change, it's time to vet systems. It's time to, look at making the change, you know, is who is going to be responsible for this? And oftentimes it's usually depending on what the needs are. Okay. But my experience, it's usually somebody on the operation side that's spearheading it. Okay. It kind of just fits into into their, their role better of anything. And oftentimes those people will solicit input from others, but they're really driving the evaluation, of the software themselves, in there. And it tends to be a very siloed process in terms of, who's vetting and the decision making. Okay. And I don't think that's very productive. You know, I've seen it many times where I've come in a presentation, whatever, and or prior to that, I'll be sent a wish list before that. And they've gathered up this wish list from all these people that, are going to be potentially using it, but the interaction stays pretty much one-on-one, okay? And that's fine. But I think I've seen more successful changes happen when those people that are submitting wish lists are actually involved in the process, okay? Build the team because the team is going to be using it. Okay. If you ask the COO or the CFO to lead the process, okay, but there's a whole side of their evaluation that has to do with creative and project management and resource management. Well, I'll be honest with you, those people probably are not don't have a lot of knowledge of what's going on in those areas. They have some cursory knowledge, but not really that day-to-day, you know, uh, involvement. So there is build a team and let the team make the evaluation. It's gonna make once the switch is made, it's gonna make the implementation much easier. Okay.
Gotcha. I love that. Getting buy-in from the people who are actually going to use the software the most.
Absolutely. And be active in that, process too. Not passive, be active in it.
How would you prioritize technologies and business processes to modernize? Meaning, we all have, like, you spoke about your wish list and what you want in a software, but we all have our wish list of all the things we want to update and upgrade in our agency, specifically when it comes to software and technology. How would you help people prioritize what parts of software or what softwares to jump onto or to make the most important to make the changes for?
Well, generally, you need if you're gonna make a change, you need to prioritize, as you said, your needs. Okay, what are your needs? And it really is. It's two different things that need to be addressed. What are your current successes? Okay, and how do you want to segue and keep those successes? The second is what are your current gaps? Okay, in those, and you've got to address both. Okay. Many times people are only looking at needs and gaps. And, you know, that is great. But if you're going to make a change, not every system out there is going to sure that you're going to transition. That's something that is successful now will be successful in in the new system. So as you're looking to make this change, it's you need to make an outline or a list. Prepare yourself. Don't go a bunch of websites and sign up for demos, okay, without thinking it through, because you're going to waste your time. Okay, I mean, it's just like watching videos on YouTube. Okay, okay, for or TikTok or whatever whatever you do, you're just using that to be entertained. Okay, if you're serious about this process, prepare yourself. Okay, make a list of those needs, make a list of those priorities. Think outside the box. Okay, not only think about the basics, but be a little creative in your thinking. You never know what solution out there is offering. Okay, in that. So that's what I would say in terms of prioritizing this. Think about your needs, but also what currently works, and let's try to keep those. Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mike. That was great to hear all those fears one by one, going to preparing your agency for a transformation and discussing what the priorities you have when choosing what to improve. That was awesome. I'd love to recap with like a couple of quick actionable next steps for agency leaders. I know we're talking the beginning of 25 coming into a new year. We definitely have a lot of things that we wanna change, but any like quick tidbits or quick changes that'll give them some real value starting off the new year.
Well, if you're hopefully listening to this, that we've alleviated some fears and we've now moved you to the next step. What's the next step in this process is a meaningful evaluation of software partners out there, such as Workamajig. Okay. One thing I want to say uh, is take your time. Okay. There's no need to rush in this because a good system is you're really betting your entire agency's operations, okay, on this system. So take your time, vet the systems. Okay. Don't sit through one demo and make a decision. Okay. Sit down, evaluate once of that, compare the pros and cons, look at that list that we just talked about, those gaps and successes that you're trying to evaluate. Okay. And find that right fit for you. Okay. And also understand that this is not an immediate, uh, you know, decision that you're going to make and try to satisfy. Okay. Because once you make that decision, it's going to take you, 45, 60 to 90 days to implement a system. A right system is going to understand that. Okay. It's not something you're going to be doing in a week. Okay. A good agency management system, such as Workamajig, is going to be involved. Okay. And the key there is when I say involved, and this is also another tidbit, is you need to be ready to plan. Okay. And when I say that is plan that implementation. Okay. Workamajig and others have a very well thought out process. Okay. A very well timeline and implementation process. It's strategic in there. Okay. And the way it's going about, because the goal is to get you live, but when you go live, to be correct and ready to go, that you're not working out kinks in that transition, you know, 90 days from now when you're live, you're doing that during that process. It's that hand holding, that's that due care. Okay. And that's something that needs to be vetted as part of that evaluation and implementation process. You know, understand your partner. Okay. So not only understand the technological offering that that partner is going to provide, understand your partner. What do they offer me? Do we get along? Do they fit my think process? Okay. And that's something that I used to always tell agencies that I was working with is I don't want to be your vendor. Okay. I want to be your partner. You're relying on me for so much. Okay. Or you're relying on the systems that I'm working with for so much. You need to look at this as a partner. Go into that evaluation as that mindset. Ask those questions.
Gotcha. I love that, Mike. Yes, that's definitely something that I see a lot. First of all, addressing the idea of the process and the system, specifically when it comes to implementation. I find that a lot of clients jump into an implementation and they expect to start where they expect from, and they're trying to jump sections to learn everything at once in one day. And, not even from the trainer's perspective, but from the person who's being taught. They confuse themselves by trying to jump ahead. You got to trust that there is a process in place and follow that process. It's definitely set out there. And yes, I love that relationship with, your software is going to be your partner. The software that I work with every day, I can spend hours a day in those softwares. And the more I get to know them, the more I understand how they work and why they work the way they work, what they do and why they do it. It's just, we just work better together. So yes, I definitely love that.
Yeah, and I might want to add on there along those same lines as we're talking about be a partner. It also uh, needs to apply internally in the agency. So if you've made your decision and you're working through this implementation plan, involve everybody that's going to have ownership in the software. Okay. Don't ask your accounting manager or controller or whoever to be the implementer of everything. Okay. Um, you know, have your creative, your project lead project manager, resource manager, have an account exec, okay, in there. Have somebody from finance and operations. You might even have somebody in senior management, okay, as part of the implementation. Get them involved in that process. Who's going to own this area of the system moving forward, then that should be the person that should be, leading the implementation of that side, of that. So it is very, very much of a team effort. Your success is going to be dependent on that at the end of the day.
Gotcha. I love that, Mike. Thank you so much. I think this is like a great opening to, to getting ready to gear up to make this an awesome year. Discussing the fears that hold us back sometimes, how we could prepare, how we could set up for a successful implementation of, whatever software we're implementing. Yes, that was really good. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, your years and years of experience. I definitely appreciate that. I'm going to leave off with one last thought. I'm really grateful that Mike joined us today. We'd love to have other speakers on. I know that I do some of the research on which speakers we like to bring on, but if anyone's got like any specific choices on topics they want to hear or specific speakers they want to hear, definitely let me know. Drop me an email. We'd love to bring out content that talks to you the most. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll look forward to our next session.